Are you superstitious?
No.
Oh.
There's only one thing I'm superstitious with in the whole world, and that's sweeping my foot with a broom. That's the only thing.
What happens when you sweep your foot with a broom?
You go to jail if you don't spit on the broom.
What?
And I'm not superstitious, but that's the only thing because my dad told me one time, I was sweeping and I made a mistake and I swept his foot and he was like, give me that broom. He spit on it. I was like, why you do that? And he said, cuz I don't want to go to jail. I said, I thought you said you wasn't superstitious. He said, I'm not, but that's the only thing. It happens to me more than you know. I like to go to Vietnamese coffee shops.
Yep.
In Vietnamese coffee shops, you can smoke inside there. It's like illegal, but you can do it. I don't do it, but people be smoking. And they drop the cigarettes, and then the people that work there, they come and sweep it up. And I'm like moving my feet and stuff all the time. Sweep my feet. And one time, he got my foot in the air, and I had to do it. I said, hey, come here. I grabbed the broom and had to spit on it. He was like,
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny. Fueled by Monster Energy.
I love the banter beforehand. Brittany, how are you? You good?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Danny, you good?
I'm good.
Yep.
Rock solid.
Rock solid?
Not as solid as our guest, but pretty solid.
well, now you more rock solid than me. I'm a little pudgy these days.
Nah, I think you're all right. Our guest today, Quinton Rampage Jackson. Crowd goes wild.
Oh.
Thanks for being with us here today. You're actually one of huge long time Monster guy. I've had some really fun times with you traveling. I think we had a NASCAR event and a few other things where you're the man. I've also had some times when I've been like, holy shit, that's Rampage. You have been part of that, MMA world from before it was even, I didn't even know if it had a name.
Yeah, it was, I think I came right after the first wave of, the old school fighters. I was like the second wave of the old school fighters, it was already around for like a little bit before when I got there, but it wasn't popular.
Right. Because your background kind of came from street fighting?
Yeah, I'm a brawler. I'm a street fighter.
Growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, that's where you learned how to fight.
Yeah, I always had to beat up the bullies. I hated bullies growing up, and all my friends was like little bitty small people, and like my brother and my cousin used to always get bullied by the kids that live in the projects down the street.
Right.
And I just couldn't stand them.
Dang. And then from that, you got into wrestling?
Yeah, I started wrestling in high school because I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And I thought that, we moved to a different part of town. We moved to a better part of Memphis, and they had wrestling at the school. I thought it was pro wrestling. So I joined up, and it wasn't.
Like WWF style?
Yeah.
Like, wait, this is weird, guys. Like,
you come running in your outfit, you got a cape on, you're like, oh, shit.
You got your name ready?
Yeah, everything. I had everything ready. I'm like, what? This school got pro wrestling? Where am I?
Where did Rampage come from?
My cousin named me that when I was 8 years old because I used to play that video game, Rampage.
Right.
And I've told the story several times. And when I was a kid, I had the worst temper ever. And my cousins and my siblings, they used to tease me because I used to like hyperventilate, and I couldn't hit them back or nothing like that because I was getting in trouble.
Yep.
My mom would get really mad at me if I beat them up because I've done it several times. But they keep teasing me, and I just you don't can take so much. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And I fight my cousin who's older than me, my brothers, my sister. We all used to be a free fall, but I would be the one getting in trouble. And so I started punching holes in the wall and the doors and stuff like that. And he was like, "You just like that game, Rampage." And when the animals used to destroy the buildings and eat the people and stuff like that.
I love that game.
Yeah. So it stuck with me when I turned 14 and I tattooed it on my arm. And then once people saw it on my arm and I started wrestling, it stuck with me. I had it going down this arm right here, but before I made it big and fighting, I covered it up because it looked so ghetto because I did it myself.
Right.
And I almost misspelled it, and it was like crooked. The needle thread, the Indian ink.
Yeah.
It looked like the worst prison tattoo ever. I was like, man, I can't go to professional fighting on TV with an ugly ass tattoo like that.
It's not a good look when you misspell your own nickname.
Yeah, I almost misspelled it. It was bad. I was 14 years old. I could barely spell my real name at that age.
So I'm just going to reel some stuff off real quick. UFC Light Heavyweight Champion, Pride MMA Middleweight Champion, first generation of pro cage fighting. That's maybe the name we were looking for before UFC and Bellator, which you had both amazing careers in. Famous in Japan pre-UFC, which means you were fighting in Japan before these organizations kind of came apart.
Yeah.
Push MMA into the mainstream, multiple champions in MMA, different promotions. But also my favorite is you've been in a couple movies. You're a voice. You did some stuff for the Cleveland show. And then you're in one of my favorite movies of all time, The A-Team. Literally, I fucking watched that movie just because of your character and what you brought to the movie. And it's crazy because as time goes on, there are movies that come out and go away. That movie was with some of the biggest stars, A-list stars, not just The A-Team, A-list literally stars, Liam Neeson, Bradley Cooper. And what's also cool is your opening part is when you beat up those guys is a guy that we're quite friends with, is The Game, did the song to that.
Oh, yeah.
Matched the music to that. So, but it's funny to rewatch that movie today. That movie stands its own.
Oh, man, it's a great movie. The director name was Joe Carnahan. I don't know if you guys know him, but he did like Smoking Aces and other movies and stuff like that. And man, that guy, he's such a genius because he didn't like the original script of the movie. So he wrote it as we were shooting that movie. So that movie was coming alive as we were shooting it. It took us 6 months to do that one.
That's crazy.
6 months. Wow.
Yeah.
And you said pre there that you're getting ready for another movie.
Yeah. I've been doing some like small movies in Thailand. I did one in Thailand, and it was like 1940s like World War II movie. I was doing it with Cowboy.
Yep.
Yeah, and they had me play like a strange character, like a preacher, a priest that was, in the war or whatever, like, helping out, I guess. And they liked my character so much they did a spinoff.
That's cool.
So now they had my character coming back, and this time I'll be fighting werewolves.
Yeah.
In the same period, like 1940s type of movie, fighting werewolves, or I thought was interesting because I love werewolves. So
I think
really?
Danny loves werewolves.
I love werewolves, vampires. I mean, definitely some good werewolf movies out there.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to prep for like a role like that?
Well, this role, I start training camp on the 20th. I got to lose like 30 pounds in 6 weeks. Whoa. So I'm just going to, put my nose down and just train really hard. And I work with my acting coach, and this character, you know how black people talk in the 40s, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to kind of watch like old movies and kind of like talk like how people talk back then. It's not a whole lot of work. I think the hardest part is for me to get in shape because there's going to be more action. I'm going to be actually fighting werewolves and stuff like that.
Do you train like when you're getting in shape? Do you train like you would like for a fight, or are you train like is it a different kind of training?
It's a different type of training for this time because this time I'm going to be training for looks. Mm-hmm. And the other one, you train for a fight, you really don't train for looks. You train for performance.
Right.
And I've been like I haven't fought in like 2 years. And I've been living the good life playing video games. It's time for me to get off my ass and train.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
There's no like weigh-ins or anything for
right.
the director doesn't come out and get you guys on the scale.
Right. Right. It's time for me to quit being lazy and get my ass back into the gym and train. I got my coach coming from the UK just to train me for this because I love training with my boxing coach because he knows how to laugh and joke around and train like my other being an MMA fighter, you have a lot of coaches. And some of my coaches, they're just too serious.
Yeah.
And I can't be that.
And
guy.
I feel like that's kind of who you are. Like you need to have a laugh even when you're being serious. I think you're still like there to have a laugh at whatever it is. And I think that's just in your personality.
I've been that way since I was a little kid. My cousin named me Rampage because growing up with a real bad temper, it gets you in trouble. I feel like I'm the nicest guy on the planet, but I also feel like I have the worst temper on the planet. And it took me years to learn how to control it. Because I honestly felt like when I lost my temper, I have unlimited strength and no one could control me.
Yeah,
I always felt like that. I always felt like, and it got kind of scary. And in college, it sent me to jail.
Really?
Yeah, changed my life. One of my teammates struck me in college. He hit me in the mouth with a telephone, split my lip open, and I lost my temper. And I went to jail for it, and that changed my life.
Dang.
And so now what I learned is I just got to keep laughing.
Yeah.
And like people, you know, try to get me in the bed. You know how the world is negative. So I just try to keep laughing. And that's how I got to be. I joke about myself. I laugh. I do anything. I do almost anything to get a laugh so I can make myself laugh.
Right. So when you ended up in jail, was that the moment when you decided that you had to work on your temper?
Oh, yeah. I knew it right then and there because the judge told me if I ever went to, if I ever got in trouble for a violent crime again, that you know, I would do a lot of time. He told me that.
So you became a UFC fighter, and you're like, well, now I'm going to do this for a job.
Yeah. I bet he saw you on TV like a few years later. He's like, that's not exactly what I meant, but I'm proud of him.
Yeah, but I don't.
Silver lining.
But I'm gonna tell you guys, as somebody that grew up fighting in the streets, I don't see MMA as violence.
No.
I don't see it. Like some people do, but I think violence is when you hate the other person. You know?
What I love about MMA, most people, not all of them, but it's like even after rounds, if you guys have a good round, you guys will fist bump or like you guys appreciate. Like once the bell goes, you guys appreciate each other, and then 2 minutes later you go back to it's work.
Yeah, cause it's a mutual respect. Have you guys ever had fights in high school and stuff where you kind of like hated the person, but you guys fought, then you became friends afterwards? Like that's real. That happens a lot. Like I fought a few guys that I didn't like. But and you know, I fought a bunch of guys that didn't like me, but I fought a handful. A handful of guys that I actually liked, and it is kind of hard to fight somebody that you like and you're already friends with. But at the end of the day, you got to think like, oh, it's either you or me.
Yeah.
But you know, when you fight somebody that you don't like at all, it just gives you that little. Extra.
Yeah, I think so, right? Like a little extra energy, and like you could stay focused on messing him up, right?
Yeah, because it's all about
taking him down,
right? And it's all about the bragging rights because you know he's going to talk crap if he beats you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's true. It's like when I see a lot of fighters going in, you know, that have a lot of, you know, dislike and anger towards each other, and then at the end of 3 or 5 rounds, they're like hugging each other. They're like, all right, well, we got that out of the way, you know, and like they really shake hands and kind of come to like a truce. It's interesting.
The guys do. The girls don't. Not so much.
Yeah.
They never even touch gloves.
I don't like touch gloves like during the fight and stuff like that because a lot of times I'm a different person. I don't like to do that. And the last time I did that, I got knocked out like right away.
He like psyched you out.
Dang.
No, it's just I wasn't myself, but it was just like I never do that.
Are you superstitious?
No.
Oh.
There's only one thing I'm superstitious with in the whole world, and that's sweeping my foot with a broom. That's the only thing.
What happens when you sweep your foot with a broom?
You go to jail if you don't spit on the broom.
What?
And I'm not superstitious, but that's the only thing because my dad told me one time, you know, I was sweeping and I made a mistake and I swept his foot and he was like, give me that broom. He spit on it. I was like, why you do that? And he said, cause I don't want to go to jail. I said, I thought you said you wasn't superstitious. He said, I'm not, but that's the only thing. I said, why? He said, cause one time, he said the last time somebody swept my foot, and I didn't spit on it. And the guy told me, he said, man, you better spit on that broom or you going to go to jail. And my dad said, shut up. I don't believe in that shit. I'm not superstitious. And he went to jail.
Dang.
So,
all right. So you got to spit on the broom if anything.
Well,
So if it touches your foot, you got to spit on the broom.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm superstitious with. I'm not telling nobody else to do. I'm just saying. Are
you brooming a lot?
No, not no more. But not no more. But but people broom around me.
Yeah.
That must freak you out. I mean, what about vacuuming? What if somebody like hits your foot vacuuming?
Dude, no, vacuuming is not. Dude, I'm telling you, it happens to me more than you know. I like to go to Vietnamese coffee shops.
Yep.
Okay, and I like to drink Vietnamese coffee.
Good coffee.
Good coffee. My favorite coffee. I really don't like coffee. I drink Monster. I don't drink coffee. But I drink Vietnamese coffee, and I sit there, and in Vietnamese coffee shops, you can smoke inside there. It's like illegal, but you can do it. I don't do it, but people be smoking. And they drop the cigarettes, and then the people that work there, they come and sweep it up. And I'm like moving my feet and stuff all the time. And dude, he's trying to sweep my feet. And one time, he got my foot in there, and I had to do it. I said, hey, come here. I grabbed the broom, and had to spit on it. He was like, what are you doing? I said, man, don't sweep my feet, please. And everybody I couldn't explain it to all them, but I had to spit on the broom.
Wow.
I didn't go to jail.
No, there you go. You're good. How did you end up in Japan? Before your career really took off, how did you end up in Japan? And then how did you start mixing like kickboxing and wrestling, and how did you put it all together?
Oh, I went to Japan. I was supposed to fight Ken Shamrock. I don't know if y'all know him in the Pioneers, but that's the word I was looking for earlier. The Pioneers. I'm like the second pioneer in the sport, the second wave. But Ken Shamrock is the first wave of the Pioneers, and I was supposed to fight him. He was almost on his way out at that time, and this is like 20 years ago, maybe 19, 20 years ago. I was supposed to fight him. Fate has it, this Japanese guy, Sakuraba, he was like the biggest name in Japan. He was like maybe Hulk Hogan to us or something. I don't know. He had lost to Vanderlei Silva, and they needed him to find somebody that looked real mean and looked real tough, but that couldn't beat that guy. So two weeks notice, they flew me out there, and the strangest thing happened. I tried to leave the country, and somebody snitched on me, and I got in trouble. I went to jail. Because I got in trouble in college. I wasn't supposed to leave the country. Remember, I went to jail in college for self-defense.
Yeah.
And I wasn't supposed to leave the country. And the guy that was training me at the time, he wanted to fight Sakuraba because whoever fight this guy, it makes your career. Long story short, I went there, put on a great show, and I ended up losing. But I put on a great show, and I won over the Japanese crowd. And then Pride loved me, so they had me come back and forth. But I was just supposed to be the guy that's going there and got his ass kicked.
Yeah. Well, you became the middleweight champion in Japan.
Well, I didn't become the middleweight champion in Japan until I unified the belts in the UFC in 2007. I'm the first one to ever unify the
That was UFC 67.
I don't know which UFC it was.
It was.
Wow.
I don't know which. When I fought Dan Henderson in England.
Okay.
That fight, when I fought Dan Henderson, that's when I got the Pride belt and the UFC belt. But the UFC, for some strange reason, they just didn't give me the belt that day. They gave me the belt like months later and behind closed doors and told me to never wear the belt out to the fight.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they also said that Anderson Silva is the one who did it first, and which is not true. You can clearly look up look it up on the internet that I fought Dan Henderson first and won the belt. I'm the first ever unified champion. And then Anderson Silva fought him after I did and unified another weight class belt. But I'm the first 205. But I'm the first one to ever do it in MMA.
Yeah, wow. So you became the UFC Light Heavyweight champion with that huge knockout to Chuck Lidell.
Correct.
And then that was all.
Then my next fight after that, I unified the UFC belt and the Pride belt.
Yeah, wow. How much has it changed since then? Like we're talking that like 2007. How much has the fighting style changed?
Yeah. Well, this is no disrespect to anybody and at all, but I don't watch MMA that much anymore because I feel like a lot of the fighters now are fans from back in those days. You know what I'm saying? They was fans. Like I feel like a lot of fighters now are like fighting not to lose. Cause back in the day when I started fighting, we used to walk in the cage, they locked the cage, and the best man won. You know, so you go out there and you had a fight. You know, which is the positive thing is that now everybody walking to the cage, they all are well-rounded. Most people are really good at everything. Back in my day, you know what I'm saying, when I first started fighting, I was a wrestler. Then I learned kickboxing. I learned jiu-jitsu. I was never good at it. Then I learned kickboxing. Then I learned wrestling. So you saw my skills evolve over the years, but now they come in, people, they're good at everything. And they're really good at game planning. And it makes for a boring fight a little bit, to me.
Well, it seems like too, you guys like with Chuck Lidell, yourself, and then there's a slew of people there. But you guys were like the original kind of superstars or superheroes or big names that like drove the sport. And I think that back then there was almost more of you, and then it became the like Ronda Rousey era, which was a different era, into the Conor McGregor era. And now it's kind of all over the place. And the thing that you say as well, like a lot of these bigger fights are a little bit more boring because they're just doing the rules. If you can sit on somebody for however long and then win the fight, then you're going to do that, but it's not that exciting.
Well,
I'm
going to tell you some behind the scenes stuff. In the UFC, if you lose 2 fights in a row, they can cut you from your contract.
Yeah.
And, so say I lost my last fight and then they put me against this other guy. He lost his last fight. So whoever loses this fight could possibly get cut.
Yeah.
So it's going to make for a boring fight because we're both going to be scared to lose. And then another thing is the reason why you say that back in the day you feel like Chuck Lidell and there was more superstars. Now, our sport has evolved because of the Ultimate Fighter. So you have the Ultimate Fighter and you can make a reality show of these guys that no one would normally give 2 craps about, but now you care about them because you see their personalities on TV and it's a reality show, and then they grow and they become a fighter. Then you got the winner of that show and he becomes a thing. So now the UFC can push more people, but then they're still that person still would never be a Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey, but maybe they might sell some pay-per-views.
Yep.
But I just feel like back in the day, the UFC would put more eggs in the fewer baskets. Now they spread the eggs out, and so which is good for the UFC. Yep, it's a smart business model, but you don't get as many people that shine like Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. I think Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey did a great job for the sport.
Huge. I mean, they're both 2 names that transcend to everything. I don't think you can talk about those 2 names, and if you don't know who they are, you're living under a rock. Right. And then for Ronda, it was the inclusion of the female side, which was massive. Right. No sports at that caliber or the star of it being the female, and she was for a long time. And then with Conor McGregor, it goes back to that shit-talking thing and then backing it up to prove it. And then you've got NFL players walking out doing the thing. Right, he changed the era of these athletes being athletes, but not just being an athlete that's going to talk shit, that's going to back it up. And then you've got LeBron James and these people tweeting about this guy. And even so, I've been around him a couple times when we were at a football game and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's larger than life. And still today, and he hasn't won a fight in however long and doesn't need to.
It's his personality, but he has a whole country behind him.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about American fans. Look, who's our biggest fighter in America? What's his name? The guy that McGregor fought in the boxing. Mayweather still don't have all Americans behind him. Nah. It's just how that's how it started. Like once he got real famous in Ireland first. Yep. He had the whole country behind him. Everybody followed him on social media. Well, I don't know how many millions of people are in Ireland. And that's how it snowballed, right? And that's why I tell my son. My son is fighting now. He's like 3-0.
How old's your son?
He's 22.
Yep.
And I tell him, I said, forget about me, what I did. Look up to Conor McGregor. Watch him. So I'll teach you good defense and how to get out of moves and how to keep people from punching you. But watch Conor McGregor and how he got people interested in him. And that's why I would tell a lot of young fighters, most MMA fighters, they're scared to even show their personality. But Conor wasn't.
Yeah. And now it's the other way around. All those guys do is shit talk. The press conferences, you're like, it's
their time. Yeah. That's their time. But also what I liked about Ronda is she created this star power. Like when she started acting in films, I mean, between her and Gina Carano really started, and now these fighters are acting in films, you and Cowboy, and I think that was really something progressive to show that these athletes have so much to offer and really bring something like that to the table.
It's also cool because you guys have a skill set that then can transcend. Mm-hmm. You guys are muscly and
action
then
heroes.
You're like real life action heroes. Yeah. So rather than getting a stunt double or whoever else, let's utilize the real thing. And it's there's not too many other sports that are like, oh, I'm done, or in the middle of my career, I'm going to go do a movie where you guys can build a portfolio that can go forever.
That transcends after fighting as well, right? Because, the shelf life of a fighter, and then now you guys are doing really incredible things and doing your own stunts, and that's what's cool.
Yeah, and that's the fun thing, for fighters to go do movies. Like when I was doing some of my stunts in the A-Team, it was like, wow, this is fun. You know, that's
Yeah.
It's not as scary as, you know, somebody trying to knock you out, but some of it could be.
Yeah. I mean, and then it comes down to the director or how far the director, because actors on an actor, like typically an actor's not, they're not going to want to.
They're not doing all their own stunts.
Yeah, they're
right?
not.
I mean, I feel like if I was a director and I was working with you, I'd be like, you could take a hit. Let's hit him with the real sledgehammer this time. You're like, wait, what? No, man. Like,
yeah, but the insurance companies, they really don't let a lot of actors do their own stunts.
Nah.
Like, so I feel like some actors that say they do all their own stunts, I feel like they're lying, but I don't know.
Tom Cruise, we're calling you out.
I wouldn't call out Jackie Chan, though. I wouldn't call out Jackie Chan, but Tom Cruise, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that Jackie Chan, because he was a stuntman first. Jackie Chan was Bruce Lee's stunt double. So he, you know, yeah, but I don't know why the insurance companies will insure him, but I've seen clips of him getting hurt and putting the cast on and still painting over the cast and still doing the stunt. But I think when some celebrities say they do all their own stunts, I think they're lying.
Well, they're probably in only romantic comedy movies then. Like, I'll do all my own stunts in this love scene.
Yeah, who am I making out with today?
Oh, COVID, stuntman.
You switched into Bellator. Did you switch weight classes as well when you went into Bellator?
I started there at 205, and then as I got older, I went up to heavyweight.
Yeah. How was that?
Yeah, man, it sucked being a heavyweight, bro. man, it got so bad. I had to cut weight to be a heavyweight. Now that's bad. That's bad. You got to cut weight to be a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
That doesn't make any sense.
It don't.
Right?
It don't make sense. But I got misdiagnosed with hypothyroidism. Went to 2 specialists. They said, "Oh, you got to take this medicine for the rest of your life." And maybe like 4 years into taking the medicine, I kept gaining weight. And I talked to my other friends, and he said, "Oh yeah, my mom had hypothyroid, but she take that medicine and she's good. She came in there, and I saw her mom look great." I'm like, man, this medicine must not be working for me. So I kept taking it and talked to some people. And I had the scientists look at my blood work. He was like, "Man, there's nothing wrong with your thyroid. Something's off with your T3, which I don't know what the hell that is." But he was like, "But that medicine you taking is keeping you from losing weight." Wow. So I'm still trying to. I stopped taking the medicine then, but I'm still trying to work everything out and figure everything out what's going on, because I could train 3 times a day like I normally train for a fight and not lose weight. I was gaining weight, but I was gaining muscle too.
Yeah.
But I was gaining weight.
Have you had any long lasting injuries?
Just my knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got stem cells on that. I went to Columbia, got stem cells on my knee and my hand, and I'm great now.
I made a mistake once. We were at NASCAR, I think, and there was like a Bellator ring thing there, and we were both in the ring together, and I like kicked him or nudged him like an idiot, and then he turned around jokingly, but like put me down, and I was like, "Fuck, I shouldn't have done that."
I remember that. Was that in Miami?
Yeah, that was in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dingo had a few drinks in him. Gives you a side kick to the knee. You're like, all right.
You know, you think it's a good idea at the time, and you're like, "God damn it, I shouldn't have done that."
This is going to be so funny. You know?
So
no more fighting on the cards for a little.
Now, I want to get back in shape first. I want to figure out this whole everything and get back in shape first. I want to do some boxing though. Like a lot of people doing boxing. I had this guy, Shannon Briggs, calling me out, but he ain't really talking about nothing. He ain't really talking about nothing good. Every time we get close, the deal just don't look good enough. You know?
Right.
So I'm like, man, I'm not used to fighting like that. I'm an MMA fighter. We don't promote our own fights.
Right.
So I'm not used to how he do it. You know what I'm saying? So
this could be stupid question, but boxing is a little bit easier on the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, boxing is a little bit easier on the body, but since I'm a mixed martial artist, I've done every other art. I've had a wrestling match. I've had a jiu-jitsu tournament. I had a kickboxing fight. I've had like 2 or 3 of those. And I had an MMA fight, but I never had a boxing match. And I trained all those arts. So before I retire, before I get too old, want to have a straight up boxing match. So just for myself. So I would have done everything all my arts that I study.
What do you think about this Jake Paul, Anderson Silva?
I'm gonna tell you this straight up. You heard it from me first. I've heard that Jake Paul is really a good fighter. I heard that he's
Have you watched any of his fights?
Yeah, I watched some of his fights, and I got a guy that trains with me sometimes over there at Antonio McKee's gym. They call him Pretty Boy, and he goes and trains with Jake Paul sometimes, and he spars with him. And he said Jake Paul is actually pretty good, right? And I wasn't surprised when he knocked out Ben with Eskren, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But when he knocked out Tyron Woodley, then I was like, well, it was kind of
that wasn't an easy knock. That was a real fucking knockout.
I know it was. But me being a fighter, I know it was. But it looked a bit sus to me.
Okay.
I know Tyron, but I didn't ask him nothing. I'm like, okay, make your money. It looked a bit with the glove movement and everything. It looked a bit sus to me. I'm a fighter. I've been fighting for 20 years.
Yeah.
Looked a bit sus. So I said, if Anderson Silva gets knocked out, that's all I need to know is that it's rigged. Because Anderson Silva should make him look really bad. Anderson Silva is the real deal.
Yeah.
Anderson Silva should hurt him. He should be. I don't see Jake Paul making it out of like the third, fourth round with Anderson Silva if it's a real fight.
Right.
If he beats Anderson Silva, that's all I need to know.
Dang.
That's my opinion.
Somebody's got to knock him out though, like the other way around.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know, or they're not. I don't know. I heard that first couple did really well on pay-per-view, but I heard that it's just like it's
because he haven't fought, so now he has to fight like a real test. Like he was supposed to be fighting Hakeem Rockman's son.
Yeah,
but I don't know with negotiations and the guy to, you know, that would have been his first test. But then somebody showed me Hakeem Rockman's son. Have you seen him fight?
No.
He's a boxer. He suck.
Right.
He sucked. Like Jake Paul would have beat him.
Yeah.
And then that, you know, because you got to think about it. What you guys don't understand about boxing is a different sport than MMA. MMA, we don't really have like journeymen. You don't have gimme fights that much. You know what I'm saying? Unless you really been protected. But boxing, you know, a lot of boxers like a 30-0, 35-0, 40-0. You know why, right?
Because they're just putting in some stuntmen for him to knock down.
And they even pay for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They pay other fight. Like the fighter know that he's going to get his ass kicked. And he's getting paid. It's not like he's taking a dive. You know what I'm saying? He'll probably try his best. But if he goes and knock this guy out, yeah, maybe it could make his career. He could, you know, but he'll probably never be like a journeyman again. So the promoter pays like guys that has no chance of beating this other guy. You know what I'm saying? And boxers pay for that. Like if I was a boxer, if I want to come up and I want to be a top boxer, you know what I'm saying? And my promoter would pay this guy like, I'm find him somebody that my guy can knock out.
Yeah.
But MMA is not like that. So that's what Jake Paul been doing, and nobody understands that. Like, why is he going to go and handpick somebody that's going to kick his ass? That's, you know, is his promote. He the meal ticket. So yeah, he's going to want to fight people that he can knock out.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, MMA is not like that. So, you know, I don't understand that, but that's what it is.
What do you think would happen to Jake Paul in MMA?
I heard he was a wrestler, but I don't think he'll last too long in MMA. But
Right.
But if he do the same thing, if he find like those people that he can beat, right? Because there's a lot of like say Jake Paul fights like my son. My son only got like three fights in MMA, and he got boxing. It's a good chance he can probably beat my son in MMA because my son. But people say, oh, he's fighting this tough MMA fighter, but they don't know this MMA fighter is probably it's not that experienced.
And the crazy thing too, like, and then just even more off but like. Going back to like MMA and boxing champions, MMA, you're only going to be there for not that long.
Right.
Whereas boxing, there's people that can live out that whole career. MMA, you've got that small window to where you're a champion, and then you get caught slipping, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different ways a fight can be ended in the octagon than in a boxing match.
Yeah, because in boxing, most of the time you're with that promoter. They're not your manager because it's illegal, but they're your promoter. right? So they're promoting you, and in MMA, that they are promoting their promotion. You know, they don't care as much. They don't care as much about you, really. Like who's going to sell the most tickets. Maybe if you sell them a lot of tickets and stuff like that, but still at the same time, they're not going to promote. Let's use UFC for example. Honestly, the UFC. If I was the owner of UFC and I was a matchmaker and stuff like that, it would be a lot different because UFC to me it seems like they're looking for the best fighter. But when I was fighting in Japan, and Pride was 10 times as popular as all over the world in Japan than what UFC is still today. And they didn't care about the best fighter. They wanted the best event.
Yeah.
They wanted they wanted the best fight. So they didn't care if you won or lost. So like this whole rule, like if you lose 2 fights in a row, you can get you're cut.
Ejected.
Yeah, that makes for a boring fight.
Right.
And so I wouldn't do that. I would kick people out if you fought boring. I said, I don't care if you win or lose. I don't care. If you always gave me boring fights, then I would fire you. So I would, if I was a promoter, I would have like the most exciting fights. Then I would have a whole different model of fighting. But I'm not the UFC, and I could be wrong. Maybe they doing that because that's what the American fans want. But my mentality comes from Japan. Like I think the reason what made me so popular is that I've lost a lot of fights, but you can't say I had a lot of boring fights.
Right.
I always came to entertain. The only boring fights that I had is when I fought people and they tried to put me in there with a wrestler, and the wrestler just tried to take me down and hold me down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't dare put those matchups together a lot. Like the UFC always put me with a lot of wrestlers. I'm a wrestler, but I like striking.
Yeah.
Like,
you're a good striker.
It's gonna make a boring fight because this wrestler is just gonna try to take me down and hold me. Like that's a boring fight. I would have put me with somebody that's a striker too. Somebody's gonna get knocked out most likely. But like I said, I don't understand the way the UFC do things. But that's MMA. It's different from boxing. Boxing, you remember boxing went down a lot too. It got boring, but the Paul brothers brought it back up.
It's crazy, right? Because it's like for the last 20 years now, or 8, whatever it is, like UFC and MMA has become exciting. And boxing kind of became almost irrelevant.
Yeah,
and
because they was having boring fights.
Yeah, and the people like Canelo and these people that it's just like even Mayweather, right? Like Mayweather, he's gonna win, but there's not gonna be a knockout. He's gonna dance around for 12 rounds, and it's like, come on, it's boring.
Right. Right. I stopped watching boxing after Mike Tyson. I watched Pacquiao a little bit, but when back in the day when Mike Tyson was a man, like when. Who's gonna fill those shoes?
Yeah, and Mike Tyson's a hard shoe to fill.
Those fights were electric, though. I mean, geez, it's like 45 seconds, and you were like, "Wow."
Yeah, but think about it. I know, but it's still some people out there that can probably put on shows like that. Like let's bring that back to boxing.
But do you think boxing now do you think it has the opportunity? Because there's like yourself, there's a lot of other people that have come from your world that I think will end up doing boxing fights. Do you think we're going to see more of that? And then that could be, because what it sees is more so here in America that no one's really training to be a boxer.
Yeah, no one's training to be boxers anymore. It's weird. Everybody going to MMA or people that can box, they're going to football. But Nate Diaz just said he's going to go and try some boxing.
He called out everybody. Yeah. He was like...
I was trying to understand, what he was like...
calling out every organization.
Yeah.
He wants all of it.
I couldn't figure if he was going to Bellator, if he was going to boxing, if he's doing it all, and then he's coming back to UFC.
Yeah, what you guys don't understand is, as a fighter, your biggest fight and your first fight is with the promoter. The promoter want to get you for as cheap as they can, and you want to make as much money as you can. So that's something that's big for Nate to be like a free agent, to fight and win. And to win his last fight, I'm gonna tell you guys something. I don't care who gets mad at me for saying this because I'm telling the truth. The guy that he was originally supposed to fight,
I was gonna ask this question,
is an animal. Y'all saw what he did. It's gonna be a real tough fight for Nate. I think Nate still could have submitted him, but the odds wasn't in his favor. You know, I love Nate. Nate is the homeboy. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the UFC wanted him to win that last fight.
It didn't look that way. I saw somebody post the MMA gods were with Nate Diaz this weekend.
Yeah.
Because, that guy's a beast. And that guy doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, because they do that. Like my last fight with the UFC, they gave me a really tough fight. And then when they painted a picture like I was retiring. And so I left and went to Bellator. I've been fighting in Bellator for years. And people come to me and like, I had just fight like 2 weeks prior. Some people go to me, hey, Rampage, I miss you, man. Why are you on fighting? I'm like, bro, I just fought 2 weeks ago. They said, no, you retired. Everybody thought I retired. Even on my social media, I'm like, I didn't retire. And they didn't interview me. They didn't have Joe Rogan interview me after my fight. You know what I'm saying? And they painted the picture like I retired. So the UFC, the way they set up, they can control the narrative like that. Right? And I felt like they was going to do the same thing to Nate, but Nate actually was smart. He didn't talk bad about the UFC. You saw he was real smart. I think somebody really talked to him because I know Nate. Nate could be a high head. Like we have like when we fight, it's weird to explain. It's like our honor, and we have a lot of emotions into it. And we like to keep it real. Nate and Nick, they keep it real.
Yeah.
But he didn't say nothing bad about the UFC and everything, which I thought was smart.
No, you guys, I've spent a bit of time with Nate and Nick and yourself, and you guys are definitely the real deal. Like Nate comes to like some of the shows, and he has his boys with him, and he parks and tailgates, and he's a real OG and has kept it real. And those two brothers, for what they've done for the sport too, is fucking huge, and it's cool to see him still being able to be a part of that, and then let him go do what they do because his name still holds its weight.
Yeah, I would love to see Nate out there in a boxing match. I was so jealous of Conor McGregor when he fought Mayweather because I always asked Dana, I said, man, let me go out and box somebody. I wanted to box when I was young, and
yeah.
Then Conor did it. I was like, man, I was so. Then for what, 100 million? 100 million? I was so jealous. I was like, damn, that's a payday I've been looking for my whole life.
Yeah.
I do anything but sell my soul.
Right.
He made 102 million that fight. He made that 100. We paid him $1 million for the Monster logo, and then Beats by Dre had another $1 million on the shorts.
Wow. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a fan of Conor McGregor, but I was hating on him the whole time.
Yeah, that's a hard one. You don't want to be too psyched for someone who just came up on $100 million.
Yeah, but
that's hard.
I want him to win because I represent MMA. I'm cool with Mayweather. He's cool people. And one of my friends trained with his dad and everything, and she was like good friends with it and all. So I'm cool with him and everything. But the sport of MMA.
Yeah,
I wanted. And he's a family monster. I wanted him to win, but I was jelly the whole time.
Well, we do this thing quickly at the end here where Danny works on these. It's called lightning round, so you just got to answer quick.
All right.
And then we actually have some clips we're going to run through.
All right. Don't get mad at me because, I get punched for a living, so I don't know how quick I am.
All right, as long as I don't get punched. Most unstoppable MMA fighter right now.
What's his name? The big African guy.
Oh, Francis Ngannou?
Ngannou.
Yes.
What is the deadliest chokehold technique?
The anaconda, maybe?
The anaconda?
Yeah.
Anaconda?
I think.
Afterwards, can you do that on Danny?
Yeah.
How many chokeholds do you know?
The Dars and maybe the Dars is what I was thinking. I know like the rear naked, the guillotine, Dars, anaconda. I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy, brother.
Gotcha. Most memorable fight night of your career?
Fight night of my career when Boss Rudin fought Kevin Random in UFC 20.
Dang.
I was there.
Wow.
That was before I was a fighter.
Wow.
Best Memphis food you miss while traveling?
We have this thing called barbecue, smoked sausage. Even I say smoked sausage, you guys don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, what is that?
It's the best way I can explain it. It's like it looks like a bigger hot dog, but it tastes different. And we barbecue and put coleslaw on it, and you eat it in a hot dog bun. But it's kind of like a bratwurst, but it don't taste like that. It tastes totally different, and you can only I've never seen it anywhere outside the South. And I live out here, and I have to get it shipped out here whenever I want. It's the best. It was one of my favorite foods.
What's the biggest life lesson MMA has taught you?
Oh God. You know what? It taught me to you never know what martial art somebody knows. You never know what the other person knows because since MMA, the word has changed. Like a lot of people train, and so it taught me to tell my friends don't get into road rage. You know what I'm saying? Don't bully people at the bars. Don't do none of that stuff because MMA has changed the world because a lot of people know jiu-jitsu and you have no idea. They look like nerds or, you know what I'm saying?
I always look
There's
at
a
the
lot
ears.
of fight fans.
Yeah.
I always look at the ears.
Yeah.
If the ears are a little churned up, I stay away.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I have one quick question. You still have the van?
Yeah, my dad borrowed it and never gave it back though.
Well, if I haven't borrowed it, I wouldn't give it back either. But that thing's sick. I love that you have the van. We got some clips here. This is
When I was young.
this is when you're young.
Oh man.
Some good knockouts here.
I remember. That was on my 26th birthday. Oh.
What was up with the chain? Where'd the chain come from?
You know what? When I was wrestling, remember I started wrestling?
Yeah.
I was like late. I was 17 years old.
Here's the Chuck Lidell knockout.
Yeah. And my brother gave it to me because I lost 5 matches in a row. He said, wear this chain to intimidate them. Then I went undefeated.
Oh, that's the chain was the undefeated part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Where's the chain hang now?
It hangs in my closet so I don't lose it.
Do you ever wear it out?
No. I used to back in the beginning, but that damn thing gets heavy. I don't wear it no more. I don't wear it anymore.
There you have it.
Well, you don't want to wear it all the time.
No, I get it.
That's how my neck got so damn big.
Yeah. Well, dude, Rampage, we appreciate you coming in today. We appreciate you at Monster Energy. We're gonna get you on here more often. We're gonna get you on when we go live on Twitch.
All right.
Which is happening soon. But you're a fucking living legend, and we're stoked to have you.
Thanks,
on here.
man. Thanks, man. Making a black man blush.
That's a wrap.
Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny. Fueled by Monster Energy.